Okay, hey everybody. It is so very nice to see you again. My name is Sharon Chadenglass, and I'm an instructional media designer for Sinclair Community College. And as I was telling everybody before I started this recording, this is our 2-year anniversary of doing these networking sessions. We started them as a response to the pandemic. And if you don't know the backstory, I gave a presentation at TESOL 2020, Teachers of English to Speakers of Other Languages. And I had a lot of people that were interested in my topic, which was how to transition to instructional design. And I was like, hey, maybe we can just do like a Zoom meetup or something. And I had so much interest and it was enduring interest that I just continued to do this every month. Some people have asked me if I am getting paid or sponsored or no, I just do this. I just do this for the people because it's a nice thing to do. All right, we have 2 guest speakers today that are sharing their time and experience with us. We have Melissa Justen and Natalie Leger. Did I say it right, Natalie? Oh, 8 years of French is paying off finally. Melissa, I would love to start with you. Is that okay?
All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Melissa Justen, and I spent 13 years in low-income public schools in Western North Carolina in Asheville, teaching middle school, mostly social studies, and then I taught 2 years of 4th grade. So the 2 years of 4th grade were probably about my breaking point. I had some it was just not a good spot for me. I didn't feel like the school was a good fit for me. And so in 2019, my husband is an educator as well. He and I decided with our daughter to teach internationally. So that's something too that if you want to talk about international teaching, I'd be more than happy to chat with anybody who's looking to maybe not leave teaching right away and maybe try something a little different. So yeah, we ended up getting jobs in Cali, Colombia in order to better our Spanish and kind of immerse ourselves in Latin culture. Also, my daughter had been in a dual language immersion program since kindergarten, and so it was an opportunity for her to practice her Spanish. So this happened, and we, in February of 2020, which we all know what happened then, we accepted our job. We went to a job there in Boston, and it was fine, no masks. And then in March, April is when hit the fan. And even though through the pandemic we decided to push through, and so we got on a plane. We got delayed another 6 weeks. Had to live with the in-laws because we had rented our house. And anyway, we were delayed. We finally left in September, and we went to Colombia. We were there for the last 2 years. During that time, I kind of had a lot of reflection time, because when you teach internationally, you get time to just teach. You actually get a lot of time. You get a ton of planning time. And during that time, I just was reflecting on, well, I left the middle school. I left the elementary school. I'm not loving this international thing. It was fine. It was fine. It was great. I had a great team and everything. But in that time, I just realized it was teaching. I needed something different. And so, looking on LinkedIn and actually it was probably on Facebook, I kind of just saw someone's posting about instructional design and just started really researching it. And so then I really got into just researching what it was. A lot of instructional design schools, trade schools, I don't know what they're called, do like 5-day free jump starts, which you've probably seen if you're active on LinkedIn at all in that community. And so I did 3 5-day jump starts, which are free, just to kind of see if it was something I would like. And I really started to enjoy the idea of instructional design, because my favorite part about teaching is designing quality instruction that's impactful for my students. And so in January of this last year, I enrolled in the EIDL Academy, which again, if you want to learn more about that, I'm happy to talk with you about that in one of the breakout sessions later. And so I started building my portfolio, creating assets for my portfolio, and then I seriously started applying for jobs. And in May of this last year, I had a bunch of interviews that I completely, did horrible at. And, I was overly prepared for some interviews. I, freaked myself out. But after a while, I got more comfortable with the idea of it. And I had one job at my dream company. I won't say who they are, but as a social studies teacher, it'd be your dream job. Got to the last round, didn't get it. But then I had a job offer at another place called Cloudinary, which is where I'm currently working as a senior learning experience designer. I've only been there a month, so I can't tell you too much about it, but it's been really cool to be a part of the startup tech space in Silicon Valley. Like, it's a really cool thing. I work from home now. Like Sharon was saying, I haven't had a summer, but I really like, my life is so chill now that it's like fine. Like, it's a lot different than teaching was, where I was just so tired every day. Like, I had all my energy was to my kids and my students in my classroom because I love them. Of course I did. We all do, but they just take so much emotionally out of you that you're just drained. And so, you know, I get up at 6 and go work out, come and work in the morning and do my thing, take an hour lunch and do idea networking sessions in the evening, and I'm good. So I guess that's my story. So I don't, Sharon, is there anything I missed?
I really like what you were talking about. I know that people will have questions about, even though you just started and are really new to it, you definitely just came from that space of sending out your resume and doing the interviews. So I know that people will have questions about that. Here's just one question for you. What was a question or maybe a situation that you were presented with when you were interviewing that you were like, oh, that would have been nice to be better prepared for? Any thoughts?
So I'm an over preparer to start. Like, I went through and like I wrote down all the potential interview questions, and then I wrote down all my answers I could possibly give, but of course it never works out. So, you know, I think at the beginning it was mostly like having done a lot of research about the company that I hadn't done that I probably could have done. And so I think I had a lot of regret sometimes about not being as proactive as I could have been, but just I think as I learned more about the interview process and the kinds of questions that there's 100% guarantee they're going to ask, which, you know, the basic, like, tell me about yourself. You know, there actually is one. I had a second round interview, and so the team lead, like the hiring manager, was going to be in that second interview. And so along with different members of a different team, because that's just, you know, how the process works at that company. And I didn't rehearse my elevator speech beforehand because I was like, I'm good. Like, I've already said this once, and I totally just kind of tripped over myself. And, you know, they, you know, in the first 15 seconds or whatever it is that people like decide if they're going to hire you or not, I like completely felt like I don't know. But then I was really good at my elevator speech after that because, you know, I had an interview at Amazon actually, and that was really cool too. And it was a really cool experience. Yeah. I didn't go through with it because I have the current role now, but I had my elevator speech down for them. So they asked me for a second interview.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
I definitely had a moment in an interview where I was like, because I was so nervous. I don't, you know, it's not like a public speaking thing because I do that. I did that all the time when I was teaching. It was just like knowing you are being evaluated, even when that person is being nice, just kind of like the best thing I could have done was just shut up. Get my bearings.
Yeah, and sometimes like I would end an interview question with being in like keep talking and not just stop talking. I would just keep going and be like, okay, that's what I meant by that.
Right.
Just it was just kind of
you want to go
flubbing over little things, but just the more interviews and like a piece of advice I would give is take any interview you can get, like just any opportunity to practice those questions. Even if it's a job that you may not want, it's just a really good opportunity to stick yourself in an uncomfortable situation and just kind of see how it goes and then as soon as you're done interviewing, write down as many questions as you can remember so you can have them for future reference.
Yeah, I love that. If you are not looking at the chat, I put in a link to a presentation I gave at TESOL 2022 called Starting a Career in Instructional Design, Your First Aid Kit. And it has a lot of links that I found really helpful that I just love to share. A lot of it is not even my work. It's just work from other people that want to share and help people get a leg up. So feel free to take a look at that. Natalie, are you ready?
Okay, I'm gonna just be real with y'all. I am the type of person who yawns when I get nervous, and then I tell myself over and over again, don't do it, don't do it. And so right now, like if I do this thing, that's because I'm trying to hide a yawn, and I've already done it like 10 times. So, and I know they're contagious, so I'm apologize up front. But hi everybody, my name is Natalie Leger. I am in Houston, and I have been an art teacher for the last 11 years. I was not one of those people that grew up thinking, oh, I'm going to be a teacher one day. It didn't work like that. I did odd office jobs throughout college, and then I was in art class one day and somebody asked for some help and I was helping them. And then the instructor said, hey, you should be a teacher. And I said, oh, okay. And then that's where that started for me. I went into art education, and then I ended up really liking it. I did my first year at high school. That was terrible. Whoever does high school, like, kudos. And then I went down to elementary. So when I was doing it, when I started teaching elementary, I started doing a little research project for myself on effective teaching methods that I could invent for my students. And over the years, I have known that I eventually want to create my own curriculum, because there is a massive gap in the arts as far as curriculum goes. If you look up math, you're going to find too many to look at. If you look up art, you're going to find a few. And they're not all necessarily research-based. So that's something I've had in the back of my mind for a while now. The COVID years came around, and I really started thinking about how you've been doing this for 11 years. Do you really want to retire from this? Can your body even retire from this? How do people retire from this? It's like, yeah. Anyways, I definitely started thinking about that. And the push for me ended up happening because I was able to stay away from COVID all this time. I don't know how, teaching the entire campus every 6 days and, being hands-on with them. I don't know how I was able to get away with that. And then on my birthday in January, I got it. And, I could say that it was a bad gift, for my birthday, but I kind of think it's a life-changing thing that happened to me. So it ended up becoming blood clots in lungs and whatever. So I was out of work for about 3 months. And you all know how teacher pay goes, where they prorate it and cut it throughout the summer and all that. So I was getting those $70 paychecks, like looking real, moving in with your parents. Hooray. And I started getting on LinkedIn, and then it wasn't until it got into the summer that I started just being open with people on LinkedIn about what was really happening, and not just doing the same happy look at me thing that people do. I was real about what my situation was. I had somebody reach out to me who wanted to try to do an experiment of sorts with me, where she had created this 100 jobs challenge, where she believed that if you actively applied for 100 jobs rapidly, but they also needed to be jobs that you saw purpose in, not just, whatever. And then you would document them. She believed that you would at least get, what did she say, 10 callbacks and at least 3 interviews. And so I was documenting that stuff. I was documenting who did or didn't respond back. I got up to, I think, the 70s. And somebody on LinkedIn saw what I was doing from Amplify. I had not applied to Amplify. He reached out to me and told me, listen, we have this job that's been open for a couple months now and nobody wants it. And so that was a lifesaver thing for me. I have now been at Amplify for about a month. I'm working in a new a new department that they had to create because Amplify has rapidly expanded pretty quickly, and they're finding a lot of holes that they need to hurry up and fill in. And so I am pretty much exclusively working in Salesforce right now. A month ago, if you would have asked me what Salesforce was, I would have been like, I don't know. But that's all I'm doing all day now. And I mean, the difference, like she was saying, the difference for her now and everything, you know, how she has all this time. I'm kind of having a different kind of coping period right now, because it's like everybody in here is a teacher, right? Like, it's safe to say that. Okay, so you know, like within the first 30 minutes, you've already told, you know, at least 10 kids to stop, and your phone has rang and somebody's come to your door and you got this problem and this kid wants to fight and she's raising her hand, she's trying to be quiet, but you know, it's like, and that's all day long. And now I'm just looking at Salesforce. So there's, it's almost like I've been trained to be ADHD or something, and now all of a sudden, like I have to slow it down. But I understand that the way that things were before is not healthy, and this is a healthier way to do things. So I'm trying to figure out things again. Like she was also saying, she has time to be with her kids. It's like, can I leave and see people now? Can I, you know, go to a restaurant after work? Can I play volleyball? Can I, that stuff, normally I'd come home and take off my pants and go to sleep. You know, that's what, that's, hey, if you're a woman, you know, bra pants, you're done for the day. Yep, that's me every day coming home from work. And people be like, oh, why don't you come play with us and, you know, walk and do whatever. And it's like, the last thing I want to do is stand after I've been standing for 8 hours. Absolutely not. I'm trying to figure out this new way of life now. I'm even going to a book club after this meeting. I'm going to read a book. Can you believe that? It's not going to be professional development either. It will not be written by Harry Wong. I'm excited. So yeah, I don't know that I can give much information on the practices of instructional design, but I can definitely give you whatever wealth of information I may or may not have. I'm welcome to share anything I have, because people sharing is the way that I was even able to get a job in the first place. So that's me. Hi.
I'm really glad that I muted myself for that, because I was just laughing so hard. You know, the last thing I want to do is to be standing at the end of the day. I'm like, oh my God, I forgot about that. It's just like, it's gone now. But Natalie, my thing, my moment of, is this real life, was when I switched. I wasn't teaching anymore, and my boss was talking to me for like 20 minutes about nothing in particular. And I just kept looking at the clock like, is this okay? Are we allowed to just talk?
I did the same thing. Somebody invited me to like a coffee chat to get to know them while on the clock. And I was like, is this okay? Are we going to be evaluated?
I'm not allowed to. And then when you're not, like, and then also but like you fight that side, you know, the other side that you fight is like is there something else I need to be doing in this so I'm not behind? Mm-hmm. Right? I fight, you know, it took me a while to unlearn those behaviors that are so like ingrained in teaching, where you never feel like it is literally okay to sit down and just have a conversation without in the back of your mind being like, you lazy, blah, you need to get up and you have so much stuff to do. And there's so many things you could do if you would just shut up and stop, you know, building rapport with your colleagues.
Girl, like I was in a classroom in my last 3 years. It was this new classroom. It's beautiful, but it's complete like glass walls everywhere, and it's facing the front office. So I tell you what, those like very few moments that I would be like, listen, I'm just gonna sit, like all administration would walk by my front door and be
I'm busy.
yeah.
I'm really busy.
I could just ask me a question here.
Oh, that's so great. Okay. All right. All right. So I think that you probably have a good idea of who you want to chat with. If you need any background about me to know if you want to stay in the room and chat with me. I'm in higher education. I was a TESOL, or I'm sorry, an ESL teacher in higher education for most of my career, and decided that I had to do something more. I was gonna just go bananas. And so I can talk to you about that transition if that is interesting to you. I currently work in the higher education space. Okay, welcome back, everybody. Before we get started into our whole group Q&A, I want to let you know that the next time we are going to meet is September 6th, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern, and that is the day after Labor Day.
And what will that presentation be about?
It will be 2 new guest speakers, and I think I do have those already scheduled. Would you like to know who? I don't know if it matters. You know, some people will come no matter who comes, but let me just fish that information out here. Erin Rendos and Kelsey, I wish I could say, I don't know how to say it, Bakke or Bake, B-A-K-K-E. Both of them will be coming in September. So basically, if you're new to kind of what I do in these sessions, I just bring people to chat and I say, how did you get to where you are now? And that's it. Oh, Alan says it's his birthday. So happy birthday, Alan, in a month. Okay, so I hope to see you guys there. And I'm gonna just open it up for whole group Q&A. You can direct your question at a person in particular or just to the group, and we'll just take your questions.
I put a link to a virtual career fair in the chat that I attended before. It's a little overwhelming, but it's helpful to just kind of see who's there. I never actually got much out of it, but it was helpful to find people's names that work in specific companies and then LinkedIn stalk them. And it's also just kind of nice to know what companies are looking for former teachers.
For those of you who didn't get a copy of it yet, I put into the chat my presentation from TESOL 22, which is starting a career in instructional design. It's all yours to, use at your discretion. And also, I always forget to say this, but if you would like to put your contact information or your LinkedIn profile into the chat so other people can connect with you, please do that. That is there for you to use. We had a lot of questions about getting into instructional design from a higher education position. So that's what we talked about in our rooms. We talked a little bit. Kelly had some good questions about what is instructional design actually, and I kind of compared it with learning design and learning designer, those positions, and which and I think somebody else, was it Jan maybe or Marcia? One of them was like, oh, that presentation that you shared really explained it really well. So please do take a look at that.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So, like I mentioned in our breakout, I feel LinkedIn is a little overwhelming because I'm just not sure what to do on there. But a lot of, transition teachers or things I've seen encourage you to reach out to specific hiring managers at companies. And I find that to be incredibly overwhelming because I don't necessarily know what companies there are or what companies my values align with or would be great to work for. And so I don't know if you have anybody in here has any suggestions for like how to look for companies, or is it more just types of companies that, like you're looking for a technology company or you're looking for a healthcare or something, and then kind of I just don't know where to look.
Melissa or Natalie, do you either one you want to pick that up?
Yeah, I can. So at the beginning, I was only applying to ed tech companies because I thought that was the only place that would ever take teachers. And those roles are so competitive. So Natalie is really lucky to have the role she has because I can tell by her sparkling personality, of course, why she got the role. But I didn't have any luck. Like I was applying, I was like, I'm gonna work at No Red Ink. This is like my dream job. Like this would be perfect for me as an English person or whatever company, or I want to work at I don't know, any ed tech company, my favorite one, Paradox. And I just wasn't getting any traction. And so is when I started reaching out to other tech companies, actually is what it was, that I started getting a lot more traction on those. I don't know why tech, I think there's just tech hiring all the time, but again, tech is a big risk too. It's like a big win, but it's also a big risk because, I don't know if you've seen on LinkedIn lately, all the tech companies are laying people off right now, and not my company apparently, but so I would say go to those job fairs like the one that I sent in the chat, because then you'll just kind of see who is hiring teachers. It is a lot of ed tech stuff, but you'll just start connecting to on LinkedIn. The more you just sort of get into following instructional design, don't just follow teachers on LinkedIn. Follow anybody in career path. And also I said in my breakout session, the teacher career coach is awesome. She talks all the time on she's got a free podcast. She's also got a free course. It's not free, but her podcast is free. Yeah, you actually could take her course if you have no idea what field you're even interested in, because it's really like it helps you explore that. But if you listen to her podcast, she interviews former teachers about their roles and how they got to their roles, and she's super. I really, really liked her, and she played a big part in my transition out of teaching.
Cool.
So I'll drop the link in the chat.
And I'll support that too, because I followed her podcast this year and also did the course to help explore what area I wanted to go into. Highly recommend her.
Awesome.
Yeah, I've done her course as well. Well, part of it. I've started working through it. So
I'll also add that I did a lot of research looking at LinkedIn jobs. That is where I found the companies that exist to look into. Seeing where the places that had the openings in the first place. I have had hiring managers say that they do not like just being reached out to cold, where they're just like, hey, do you have anything? Can you hire me? But instead, it's more fruitful for them if you say, hey, I just applied to this job. This is the, whatever, and then introduce yourself that way instead. Most of the companies that I applied for, I didn't know about until I got on LinkedIn. And you can also, so there's a job portion on LinkedIn that you can look up by keywords. And then there's also at the top of the LinkedIn, then the search bar where you can look for people, you can type in specific words, you can type in marketing, and then it's going to pull up all the businesses that use the keyword marketing. And then you can look at different businesses that way and see about their culture, and do they actually have followers, or is this a scam business? Like those are the kinds of questions.
Has anyone done any of the LinkedIn learning courses? I thought that might be, a way to not sort of understand what ideas in theory, but to actually, because I'm trying to figure out like, where do I start? Should I I'm teaching, classes start in 2 weeks. Should I start making stuff that's more instructional design-y for my students, or, so I just wondered about that.
I decided to do a certificate through University of Wisconsin Stout. And I did a lot of research on it and come really highly recommended from people who wanted to jump in with a certificate. I wanted something behind my name saying, yeah, I got a good grasp at least the fundamentals.
Mhm.
Well, and the teacher career coach, Daphne Gomez, she talks about how to start like a side hustle where you, while you're teaching, so that you can start kind of projects that you can put on your resume, build a portfolio, and how you can take, like, maybe you learn a new piece of tech, you use that to teach other teachers, then you can do a screencast of that and put that on your portfolio. And she gives you a lot of really specific examples like that. So while you're teaching how to build this experience.
And also, no, go ahead.
I was just going to say my library has free access to LinkedIn Learning. So my library card, I can log in with my library card number and I can get access for free. And so I actually posted about it on my LinkedIn because it doesn't connect to your account. So what I did was I downloaded the certificate, I put it in my Google Drive, and I made the Google Drive public, and then I linked that certificate back to my LinkedIn. So you could do that for free. That's what I would recommend, because I think it's like what, $40 a year or something, or a month, or I don't know, it's expensive. It was more than I wanted to pay. Sorry.
Just be aware, not every county library does offer it, but if you are in a larger area, more than likely yours does. I'm in Houston, so we definitely offer it at our libraries as well.
Marsha?
We don't have it, but I do pay for it.
Real quick, Corey, I took the LinkedIn Learning Instructional Design course. It took about 16 hours to complete. It was good. You did not make any projects. You just do little quizzes, but it allows you then to solidify your skills in your profile on LinkedIn. So you can put that certificate right there. And then it also just shows people that you're still learning, you're out there trying to progress your skills. If you have LinkedIn Learn, if you have the premium, okay, because it didn't cost you any money, but other than that, some of the other recommendations, I'd consider them as well.
And there's also EduFlow.
Oh, sorry, I was going to say then you're searchable too, because the recruiters are looking using keywords to search in your profile.
Yeah, and there's a company called EduFlow that's actually like an LMS, but they do a free class. I just finished it a couple weeks ago. It's 3 weeks long, and it's called Instructional Design Principles for Course Creation, and they take you through IDEA. The first 3 weeks are like the I, the D, and the D, and then once you finish that, there's 2 weeks. They give you the last 2 modules, which is more self-paced, but it's free. And if you look up EduFlow, Luke Hobson, who's big in ID, he works at MIT, is one of the instructors there. He's one of the lecturers on backwards design and stuff. There's a lot you can get out of it. You work with a whole cohort. There's peer feedback, it puts you through the process of it, which I think is helpful, especially like for interviewing and stuff.
And I just feel like I'm also at a point like, I want to figure out, will I like this? And the only way to figure that out is to start doing it.
Yeah,
I think. But, so I saw that EduFlow thing and I was sort of like, oh, that they're just marketing their LMS or whatever. But, so I really appreciate that, suggestion.
Yeah.
I agree. Sometimes I look at the instructional design and I think it's something that Sharon pointed out, the difference between the constructionism side. It seems a lot more appealing to the behavioralist side on instructional design.
Yeah.
Especially as teachers, we kind of know like giving students projects and interaction will have, at least make it more engaging for them.
Mm-hmm. All right, my friends. That brings us to past 8. So I'm gonna wrap it up here, and I really want to thank Melissa and Natalie for being here and sharing your experience, and thank you for saying yes when I asked you, because both of you were like, oh, I don't know, I'm kind of new, and I'm like, you are exactly the person that I want here then, because you just went through this and you're such an encouragement to everyone here, and I really wish you all the best in your new jobs. Congratulations. Yay.
you.
Thanks.
And I hope to hear good stories from all of you. And I hope to see you back here right after Labor Day. Okay? Have a great night, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.